position to accumulating iron. I'm one of those. So
Started live streaming
2 or 3 times a year, get to donate. But it has a good outcome, and it's good blood. Yeah.
Hello. Hello. So I think Mark said he could not make it today. And then who else are we missing? Auntie.
Yes,
I just
and
Hi.
Vern.
and Vern.
Vern normally comes a couple minutes late because he's coming from his school. Nadia won't make it today.
Okay.
Superintendent, oh, sorry, is Lambert, it's Lambert.
Bill is not able to make it.
Okay,
So I sent out the agenda. So since Mark is unable to make it, I think we can kind of skip over what we can talk about if we need to make changes to the public forum, but then we'll wait for him for the briefing doc. And then anything to add to agenda? So we have
you had me for the marketing, I can talk briefly about that. I
for
thought a little-
the okay for the public forum.
Maybe it's better, yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rebecca, you had sent a note about asking for thoughts on credit card authorization and purchasing checklist. Thank you, Doug, for replying back to that. I think in this discussion, I just wanted to see if others had thoughts or reactions. I saw Mark had written back and said he was in agreement, but
Yes, so go ahead, Rebecca.
no, go ahead.
I think I agree with Doug. I think that there were 2 points to it, right? One is the
One is
credit card thing, other was
delegated to any board member.
yes. So I think my personal opinion is that if we can do DocuSign,
Oh yeah.
then we should limit it to the president because it could be done from anywhere. I think, yeah, that's
To help like with the conversation a little bit. So like credit card purchases. So right now, for example, when like some of the items that the superintendent might be purchasing might be smaller items, like if we're hosting a parent coffee, it might actually be purchasing the coffee. So right now, if it's on his credit card, he needs to get the board president approval for that. So I guess some of it, maybe I'll explain why the request came about to put it in context is sometimes like, oh, we need to buy coffee for the parent coffee. And then it takes a day or two to get the board president to see it or, potentially email back. So I think it was more of a request of like, is there any room for the superintendent to be able to make purchases on a credit card without like a second signature on every item? But
yeah.
everything would come to the board for approval, for review, I should say. So like the entire credit card statement goes to the board so they can see everything that's been purchased.
So is there a way that we can disconnect those kind of purchases from the superintendent's credit card? Because there is, if we have superintendent may not be the only one who has a credit card in the superintendent's office. So it may be disconnect, those kind of purchases could go to admin's credit card or CFO's credit card.
Yeah, I think
So that could be because the reason I'm saying is that that was a major issue 2-3 years ago, the whole credit card. I think this is, it should be like pretty tight at the moment. I'm not saying there's anything, but I think it will be good for us. My viewpoint is that we should, if that's the reason, then we can disconnect those kind of purchases to, alternate credit card, but have, the superintendent's expenses, credit card stuff should still be approved by the president, and DocuSign, I think should not be should be a no-brainer. I think he shouldn't be like physically present to sign it. He should be able to see it wherever he is, maybe on his phone and do it. Yeah, that's what I would recommend.
I thought different tiers of authority limits, you have those very small purchases, I mean, $100 where the department head could just give the okay. And
To be clear, though, regardless of the amount, any purchases done through a credit card does go through a, like, somebody has to file the expenses, right? To classify what the business justification is. So when you say review, there is that, like, that's the review that's going on.
So normally they fill out the credit card checkout because nobody actually has a physical card in their possession anymore. They check it out from the business office and it's their supervisor. So if a SCEF wants to purchase something, the principal is signing off and saying, yes, I approve this purchase because the funding is coming out of their budget. So whoever oversees the budget is the one that's signing off on it. With the superintendent, it's a little different because the only entity that oversees the superintendent is the board. So if he wants to purchase something, then he has to get the board's approval on it. So everyone
That's
else,
the current process right now.
that's the current process.
Okay.
So if I want to purchase something, the superintendent has to sign for me.
So what's the proposed, well, or there, I think there's a complaint and then which Doug is the leading proposal to change. But the complaint is that it's too much overhead.
I think it's the turnaround time. So superintendent needs to purchase, I just use coffee as an example. There's all sorts of different purchases on his card sometimes, but is there, first question was, can we use an email authority? Yes, go ahead and make that. And we just attach the email as opposed to having a wet signature on the form. That was the first question. And then I think as the discussion went with the board, it was like, well, is there something else that would be reasonable to have? Like if it's under $100, like he can go ahead and make the purchase. And then of course the board would see it at a later date on the board agenda.
Okay, so actually currently there's two levels of approval, one before the purchase is actually made and then after the fact, once the expenses are filed.
Correct. Got it. But typically with a credit card, the bill comes due before the board meets, like it's never lined up well. So we're typically, is it possible that, let's say the board sees something on the credit card purchase that we don't agree with? We can always ask the individual, say, this was not ultimately approved, please write a check back for the donation.
Yeah, but that process is fine. If something is not approved at the post ipso facto,
Yeah.
then you just reimburse. That's
So the purchase under $5,000, is that for the superintendent specifically or for everybody?
That's a different
So that's
That's
yeah.
a separate
So
point.
there's credit
Okay.
card and then there's a checklist.
Okay, so have we laid the credit card to rest at this point? Like, it sounds like electronic signature seems fine, whether through DocuSign or through district approved email, so like official email essentially, yeah.
district. When you said district approved, what does that mean?
Board approved.
Superintendent approved, right?
No, you're writing it not from your personal account, you're writing it, the president of the Board of Trustees is writing it from the Mountain View Wisman School District web email
So
address.
but the approval is coming from the president. The email
Yeah.
approval is coming from the president.
Yeah,
It has to be the president.
It should be.
Okay.
Because that's the protocol.
I think that was also one of our questions, because sometimes the board president isn't available.
So that's why DocuSign or email response, that's a thing, right?
But they're not always on email.
About. So it's
So-
like, what I'm understanding is there's a credit card purchase, right? Approval is coming, whether the spend on credit card is okay or not, right? It's
Sorry, say that one more
like
time.
it's the approval is required when this spend has happened on a credit card.
It's before. I want to buy coffee. So
Yeah, I think that,
Tell
so
trustees.
I recommend very strongly, those kind of purchases should be disconnected from superintendent's credit card. Because if that's the one which requires a quick turnaround, that's the one that requires.
Is the superintendent's credit card. He wants to buy coffee.
So then it's a,
That's the lapse, I think.
I mean, if you're telling me that superintendent goes to Starbucks, wants to buy a coffee for a meeting and he needs approval before that, I don't think that's the case.
he does.
Before he goes and has coffee with me,
The current,
he has to get an
That's why
approval.
that's supposed to be process.
and that's what's creating the lag of like a day or 2 or 2 days or 3 days is.
So I cannot have a coffee unless I get a yes from superintendent.
No, yes.
No,
from the
unless the
board
superintendent gets a
President.
yes from the board president,
Yeah.
which is, the current state.
to be clear, it goes from, I want to buy coffee for a parent coffee to I'm purchasing bigger items,
Like the PDD launch, it was like around
professional development lunch, right?
professional development. Like Panera, big order for a lot of the staff
Getting
members.
everything.
That was a big one, but then.
So I mean, it spans the gamut of like, but if it's coming out of his budget, because it's a superintendent that is requesting it, it has to be approved by the board president. So a $5 purchase to, $2,000
So
purchase.
I would really urge to recommend that we separate such expenses where it is, I'm having coffee with Vivek, can I have coffee?
Well,
Right?
maybe we can do, would it make sense
Or-
as a dollar?
Or,
amount?
yes, maybe that's what the way to go is like, okay, anything till $100, right? It's fine, but
You have a de minimis threshold, but I'm thinking like an auditor, like as long as that gets covered by a subsequent like report.
Yes, so
You have to have it baked in the policy too, so that when like the financial auditor comes, they're gonna read the policy and say, okay, this is the control you have in place. This is what I need to see to like know it's functioning effectively, right?
So under $100 doesn't need pre-approval for the superintendent, but will be approved after the fact when the credit card charges are brought to the board.
Or
so then it's not parents' coffee, right? And it's something more than that, which needs approval. Right?
So if it's over
Because-
$100, then
Right.
you would need to get approval before you put your credit card down.
Right, so I think, so those instances where I'm buying parent coffee doesn't apply because, parent coffee is not $100.
Oh, yeah, it is. If you have a bigger group, it can really quickly get.
$5 per carrier.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so then, so my,
$200.
yeah, so I think that we need to find a dollar amount which is acceptable, which is reasonable, for which maybe you should increase this, right, in 100 to 200.
I mean,
Uh,
how often does that come up?
Yes, that's another question.
So we'll have sometimes emergencies of like, we need to, like time sensitive document that we need to run to Federal Express and use,
Sure.
the FedEx and then have a credit card and that could be $9 to $35.
When we needed
Yeah.
FedEx things overnight. Normally what ends up happening in that case, an employee puts it on, or I put it on my personal card and then ask for reimbursement because getting the signatures can't be.
So just keeping an eye on.
No, I'm just saying,
You're right.
the 100 we're
Pretty
suggesting
low.
right now is incredibly low.
It's very low, yeah.
Yes, so
Really wants to treat staff for lunch during a PD session. That's like 6 hours. That's, I don't know, 500.
yes, I think, so we come to a amount where, okay, I'm okay with you increasing the amount of my suggestion, but increase the amount to 100 to 500 and say, hey, you need it because 100 is, we can't even get a coffee for a parent, so we need to
Okay,
increase it.
Vivek, just keeping an eye on time. This is like our easiest issue for today. So let's kind of put some time bound on this. Let's spend no more than 2 more minutes on this. And then let's talk about the other thing.
So if I can make a
Go ahead.
like just to wrap this thing up, and maybe I'm the only one, but it'd be great if we can put some sort of matrix. Like there's different budget owners. So there's a superintendent, there's like the school sites, et cetera. I don't know which scope we're talking about. There's a time of approval before and after, and then there's like a threshold. There's like a credit card, the form of purchase, so the credit card or the PO. Like it'd be great to understand which specific intersections that we're assessing or trying to create a new policy on. Is it the whole thing?
No,
Or-
just the superintendent.
Okay, it's just, yeah, it'd be great to understand like what the current scope is today based on whose budget, form of payment, like before, what rules are in place right now. And then like, where is the pain point and like, what are we specifically trying to solve? Because it's not clear to me, like, does this threshold apply to everyone? What specific scope are we talking about?
I can put that together.
Okay, that'd be
I could
great.
probably share it in 2 sentences though. This only applies to the superintendent. All other things in place would stay the same.
But it'd be good to understand like what the process is for the other places so that we can understand like what,
Okay, I can do that. I can bring it back next meeting. His
you.
secondary,
Say most places are under 1,000, so 500, I think is
Yeah.
fine.
okay.
That's fine.
The next one is the cover sheet. So this applies only to departments. So anytime a department makes a purchase, whether it's 2 pencils for $1 or if it's a $50,000 contract, we put a cover sheet on it that is a checklist that you guys have seen. This is what type of purchase is it? Did it follow this process? Pain point is that every time a department makes a purchase, whether it's 2 pencils, they're filling out that check sheet. That check sheet has to be signed by the originator and the supervisor. So when we're buying a couple of pencils, it's slowing down the process. Oftentimes we're purchasing things for special ed. This student needs a X like button. They need a new, so it adds a couple of days to our process because they have to make sure they touch bases with their supervisor, get the signature. Part of our approval process right now that the board also saw is when we put a purchase in, depending on the department, if it's education services or special ed, it goes secretary for special ed puts it in, the director approves it. It then goes to the secretary for ed services. The secretary approves it, then assistant superintendent approves it. Then it goes over to purchasing. Purchasing approves it, looks at it, makes sure they have money for it, goes to my secretary, then to me. I'm out of order actually right now. Nadia first, then my secretary, then to me, and then on to purchasing again. So all those approvals are already baked in the routing for approval to buy something. The checklist goes on top of that. So if we are purchasing smaller amounts under $5,000, do we still want that checklist on it?
So I think same thing, if we could have the, like a matrix of, at least for me, like like, how does this fit in with the overall scope of like all the different purchasing flows? Yeah.
Can I also ask, have you ever talked to the auditor about that?
Our check sheet,
Yeah,
this
or is
is
it Christy White?
Christy White. This is above and beyond what the auditors require. Our routing is extremely robust. Typically, districts only have a couple of approvals. We have 6+ approvals in our process. So the fastest we can purchase something typically is about 2 weeks.
When
This adds a couple more days.
when did we add this approval checklist?
So this was mid-year last year, the board asked for a checklist. I believe the board was more looking at it, because they wanted it on all contracts. So when contracts go to the board, they always have this cover sheet now. But all contracts also include all POs, because a PO is a contract. So initially it was required of every single purchase in the district. So a school site wants to buy 20 boxes of crayons, they had to have this check sheet on it. We made the request to the board and said, this really doesn't need to be for school sites because they're not making massive purchases. They're buying supplies. So the board removed the checklist from school sites. So right now it's any department making a purchase.
Is there opportunity for improvement on reducing the number of approvals, not just on this checklist, but like all the other 6 layers?
I think there's opportunity, but I think with that also comes, people want the oversight. So special ed wants to know, I want to know what's coming out of my budget. Ed services oversees special ed. So ed service wants to see what are they buying? And then it comes through purchasing and it comes through myself to check that, yes, this is a reasonable expense. So yes, absolutely. But then you reduce the number of eyes that see it.
What was the reason for having this cover sheet checklist? There must be a reason that board wanted it. Why did they do it?
I think it was partially, I think one of the big requests was the Blue Violet Healing Energy contract. So the contract went for approval to the board. They wanted to know that somebody actually checked this person's website, because with that particular contract that was brought by the superintendent, I don't believe the website was checked. So by putting this checklist on it, it says, yes, we checked the website, we looked at the vendor, and then so in this case, the superintendent would sign it before it could go to the board for approval.
It's really public response to the public.
Yes. So,
But
I work for a really large organization, and for purchase approvals, we have a centralized procurement group. It's not totally relevant to this, except to say that it's not helpful to have serial approvals. That's very inefficient from a process perspective. So, I think the short-term fix, yes, please create the approval matrix. Yes, I think it makes sense to reduce the size of the contract, but I think I also note that there's an opportunity for process improvement, and that may be something you want to consider for longer term.
Why don't I bring kind of a matrix back so you can see, and I'll give you the average time that it takes us to get through things.
Yeah,
I think that the checklist has a specific purpose. I think from watching the board discussions and kind of what they were talking about at the time, it has more to do with professional services.
yeah.
Not for when we buy textbooks, not for
Yeah.
when we buy stuff. It was specifically for professional services out of the superintendent's office. But we are all doing the checklist now, whether we're buying 2 pencils or a $50,000 contract.
When you show us the matrix, could you also do a couple example transactions or something
Sure.
of different dollar amounts? Just
Yep.
Yeah.
When you say we do this entire checklist, that includes teachers all the way to.
It initially was school sites, but then it was removed. Okay. Because it was just
Cumbersome.
cumbersome.
So school principals still do it?
No.
No, okay, so none of the school sites, it's really just the district office and, okay.
So why does that apply to special ed? Sorry.
Special ed purchases things district wide. So a student at Landals needs something, it comes through special ed.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, from my perspective, a lot of these extra processes means that you're just pushing paper around.
Yeah.
And it adds to the cost and overhead of running the district, and it's just inefficient. Okay, great, thank you. Are we good with those 2 topics? Okay, thank you. All right, our next agenda topic is,
Sorry, I added one.
oh, okay, update on Mountain View Wisman School District revenue. Go ahead.
I'll be fast. So this is the last board meeting, we talked about AV growth, how that kind of drives our budget. We've talked about it here a couple of times, but the trend is downward. We are at for this year 2.34%. We had projected 3, which at the time was very conservative, was not conservative enough, because over the last 8 to 9 years, we've seen more in the 6 to 8% range. So this is unusual for us, which means that we will need to start to look at adjusting our budget, potentially adjusting our expenditures to make sure that our expenditures meet where our revenue is coming in. And then, so those are
current year, you mean adjusted current year budget?
So I think what we are fortunate for is we have a large reserve level, so we don't have to do it mid-year. If we didn't have the current reserve, we would be doing mid-year cuts. Anything and everything we could, but because we have that reserve, it's going to get us through this year. It can get us through a portion of next year, but we wouldn't want to completely deplete the reserve because we would be taking out trans to make payroll, which is taking out a short-term loan. There's all sorts of things that come with not having that reserve in the bank. But so that's going to be a topic of discussion over the next several months with the board.
What is the, when we say that there's gonna be a series of discussions, is there a timeline, like, by this date, everybody needs to have an understanding, by this next date, we'll have 3 proposals, by the 3rd date, we'll
Yes,
vote on it, okay,
that's in the works right now.
okay.
And come to the board with kind of what the timeline will look like, how we'll be addressing things. I think if we are making any type of staffing changes, that needs to be done by March, because that's when we have to let employees know if any staffing changes are happening.
Okay, when will we see, at which board meeting will we see the proposal?
Yeah, it's kind of fluid right now.
Okay.
So this upcoming board meeting, October 2nd, I'll specifically be talking about different budget scenarios, like what does it look like if this happens? What does it look like if that happens? Then the following meeting, we'll talk, and this is, of course, I think the superintendent is kind of guiding some of this. We're also bringing in an outside vendor to come, or an outside group to study our programs. What programs are really impactful on kids? Because if we're making changes, we want to make sure that the change that we make, that we keep things that are impactful in the classroom and for students. So that's going to inform kind of what decisions are made. So that group will be, I think we'll be awarding potentially the contract on October 2nd or the following board meeting, depending on how quickly the scoring can happen.
When you're presenting scenarios, are you coming up with like here are places, like how detailed is it?
Yeah, so the board had asked for different, what would our budget look like with different assumptions? So for example, right now we have 3%, because it's from budget adoption, which is already old. So coming up on first interim is when we'll do our first update, but based on budget adoption assumptions, if we were to say we received 6% AV growth in all years, which we know is not gonna happen, what would our reserve look like? Right now, we had to remove the Google lease from our budget because we don't have a signed contract. They're set to be leaving by February. So the Google lease has been removed from our budget, but they want to see what does it look like if we add it back in? Because Google, if they're in our building, from our perspective, they're still responsible for paying their lease. But so far, we don't know when they're going to be leaving. So that's one of the unknowns. So adding the Google lease in, that type of thing.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a scenarios of different decisions that we make.
No.
It's like unknown.
Just
Yes.
kind of like, what if?
What if,
Or
mainly on the revenue side.
Yeah.
That's all on the revenue.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't sound like, okay.
Thank you. We look forward to learning more. Okay, we wanted to talk, make a decision on our special topic. And last time we were throwing some ideas around, so I put Rebecca Cho back on this. And I also saw Doug had added some suggestions. So last time we were talking about potential topics, maybe declining revenues, reserves, how do we fill the gap? How do we address the changing landscape, contracting process? Doug added, where do our school dollars come from and why are they shrinking? Thank you very much for that very lovely outline. I didn't copy it into the notes, but that's there as well. Rebecca, do you have any other things to add, or otherwise we can open to discussion?
Well, yeah, I think this has quickly dissipated, but at one point, the housing land purchase was a hot topic, but it seems like that's subsided, so.
Do you think there may be other questions? Can you anticipate other questions that may be coming out of that project?
The housing,
Housing project, yeah, teacher housing project.
I mean, honestly, I don't fully understand all implications myself. But in terms of, you know, what has been a hot topic.
A question that came up regarding that topic was why are we selling 50 units if they could serve our community? I actually had the chance to talk to Trustee Lambert about that, so I have the answer. But I'm wondering if others in the community have that same question, because we were so eager to get 100+ units for our community. And when I first heard that we're selling almost half of them, I was quite shocked. And I'm like, would we have like so many staff and certified staff who could use them? So I'm wondering if it's useful for the community to enlighten them on that as well, or if it's not worth stirring that pot again.
Somebody, I think my Vivek said, or Mark, somebody on the committee said that we should probably update the FAQ on the budget advisory committee. Maybe that was you. Anyway, somebody, sorry. Maybe
It is Mark.
maybe the
Yeah.
FAQ, maybe that question could be added to the FAQ, because we do get a lot of questions on the housing project. And even though it's not, you know, it's like a separate committee, like, I don't know if we have the form for it. How do you guys
Yeah,
feel?
but there is already a committee, you know, I think it's for us to have some basic information for people on FAQ would be a good one. And then we can direct them to the more deep,
Oh,
more
okay.
deeper, answers to the FAQ on bond committee stuff.
Oh, yeah, FAQ, what?
Or a contact or email.
Project.
They can reach out if
Please
they
go
have,
to this committee.
or an email.
Yeah,
Yeah, something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Out of scope.
Okay, so proposed topics, I think we're all kind of going around revenue declines and some discussion of that. So are we comfortable with just moving forward with that as our topic, especially since Doug kind of outlined the
Yeah,
answer.
It seems to me that we probably be involved in that anyway, right?
Hold into that anyway.
Yeah.
So that might be a
I
good
have
one
a
to
feeling
pick.
that since it is the biggest thing in the next 2 years, or at least a year, we would be in that anyway.
Okay.
I think a special topic could be a topic within that aspect of declining revenue. We can pick a niche and deep dive into it if we want to do that, or think of a different one.
Okay.
My favorite topic has always been that how do we provide deeper transparency and insight to district's finances to the community. And we started that, right, with the stuff which Rebecca had started. I think we should continue that and see how we can go deeper and have more transparency, which already exists again, make it more visible and accessible to more and more people very easily. I would, if it's already a project, we can keep working on it and go deeper into it. It's not necessarily a special topic because we already dealt with it in a way. That's my say.
Any other comments on special topic number 1? Okay.
No.
So we've made a decision. We're gonna focus on where do our school dollars come from and why are they shrinking. Okay, going back up to our list of topics. So we want to talk about the public forum and finance 101, which are kind of linked. So where do you guys want to start?
There's been no update on finance 101.
Okay, so maybe what I'll do is pretend I'm Mark and try to like remind ourselves of what we decided last week, last time we met. So I'm just pulling up notes from last time we spoke. We said we're going to do a public forum where the goal is to build. We're addressing our goal number 2, which is building mechanisms for community engagement and support around district financial decisions. We proposed a date for an in-person public forum where we have pre-planned content provided by the BAC. We will have our Finance 101 primer, which we can walk through. And then we'll also have our special topic, which we just decided on. Good job, guys. The community may submit questions in advance, and then we'll try to address them we'll try to respond to them or have a response ready. Questions that are brought to the meeting will be noted. We may or may not have an informed response. And if we don't, we'll go back, do our work, and then come back to the people who asked the question. We need to put together a 1-pager for what is this that we're doing, with the purpose of, so that we can share with Jeff and get his input, feedback, and approval. Vivek had ideas on marketing the event.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, we need to use the existing channels which are available to us, which we sort of tried to do last time. The PTAs, Principal's Coffee, Constella, etc. But we also found out that didn't go far enough, right? So we need to go a step further. Now the question comes, like last time we couldn't use district's email, etc. to send stuff out, which sort of limits us. But we also said that we're going to have the district people with us at the forum. If we are doing that, then maybe we can use the district's emails to send stuff out and tell people that we are having this. And I think when I looked at Vern's mission statement, it's a collaborative effort, right? District
So,
and
Vivek,
us.
how about you tell us, you started talking about using existing channels. Some are better than others. Which ones do you recommend?
To do all. I mean, it's not like the key of marketing is you have to do everything in today's world. You can't.
Let's be pretty targeted. Which ones? So name them. I'm going to write them down.
If you have to write it down, I'll send you a list. If you don't need to write it down, I'll send you a list.
Great.
But what I'm trying to get at that if we are able to use the district's email, like if Graham can send an email out
We can
or a text messaging, which they do, right?
we can put it in the newsletter. So the district, if we know at least 2 weeks ahead of time,
Yes.
send it over, and then Shelley puts it in like district content, and then it'll go out, and it can go out in the superintendent's newsletter, and can go out through all the schools' newsletters.
Right. So if we do that, then we can request the school principals to send out in their bear tracks and or 2 days before send a text because we get texts like
Tend not, and we tend to be really careful with the number of texts we send, because we don't want.
maybe not text. Yeah, because I haven't received a text for superintendent's coffee, so I understand.
No, I think we
Yeah,
try to do it
it's-
for urgent situations only.
Right.
Yes.
So maybe not text. So okay, but that's going to help a lot.
I'm gonna ask this.
And then, then if we are doing that, then we can have posters, right, in the offices as well. I think, I don't know how much social media is accessed by parents of MVSD school website or not, but maybe.
Yeah, if the budget advisory committee, if you send like a little short paragraph, and then you
Yes,
send what you want
yes.
to be pushed out
Right.
on social media, we can also do that.
So there you go. So I think that should be enough.
What's the email that the school send with like the calendar? Like stuff that's coming
Yeah,
up
the
this month?
principal, yes,
Called the principals,
there's two. There's a superintendent's newsletter that hits everyone, and then there's the principal's newsletter that hits everyone in that school. So we can do both.
Which school to get to?
Orlando's,
So the Landals rule, no,
Like
that's
Landell's latest.
latest.
latest. I'll tell you, that's the one I pay attention to the most.
Yeah, same.
Yes, the bear track, then,
That one,
yeah,
Yes.
definitely
yes,
do that one,
yeah.
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 There's two things that also kind of get my attention most of the time, is when we have a recorded phone call message from the school. I don't know if we want to do that because it's often for school specific events, and I'm not sure that, that's a broader conversation if we want to use.
Yeah,
This committee's work with that.
does that fall in the text message space or?
Let me run it by the PIO.
Yeah, I think it's the auto dialers or what they're called, generally want to do it for more urgent
Yeah.
matters of like reminders of things that are like reminder to finish the school app, sign up for conferences that are coming up, those sort of things.
Yeah.
And it's a matter about overload and
Yes.
parents like receiving like, well, I'm gonna ignore all your messages if I'm getting a message about
Right.
like this one thing. I have a question, is we want to engage more people. How much do we want to reach for people who don't care? Right. And so like, this is one of those things of like, you put it in the newsletter, you put it in this district newsletter, you post it on posters. Is that enough to get people who are interested? Because a lot of times people just don't care. I mean, that's the thing is like, there are some people who really care and have made like the checklist for the thing, a mandatory thing, and it's like 7 parents who are having an issue. And like you're saying, like that seems very redundant for your perspective, but another perspective is like, I really care about this. And I wonder if trying to like auto dialer and do that, it's like it's a niche enough topic to where not every parent needs to or wants to have that information.
Yeah, I think I
How do
agree.
you like
Yeah.
balance that? Is
Yeah, so
my
auto
question.
dialer is a bit much, or text message is probably a bit much too, but other stuff, email, posters, etc. Because if it's in front of you, a parent might be like, okay, maybe I can come half an hour early tomorrow. And that's why principal's coffee, most of the stuff, that's how it happens. And my view on this is, if there is 7, most interested people are there,
Vocal
if there
minority.
is 7 more, it's 100% increase. That's all we should hope for.
So
Right.
I love this question, Vern, because as a marketer, it's like, what audience
Target
are we
audience.
targeting, right? Like here's like the whole population. You don't actually I don't think we're trying to do a mass market. We're not trying to get the most people. So are we trying to address like the people who feel the most passionate about this? Are we trying to address the people who know the least about this? Are we trying to address the people who know the most about this and trying to get them even further? Like what's our intention here?
So I say the people who want to know most about it, for them, I must tell you, they will not be satisfied with what we tell them.
Yeah, so going back to our mission,
But what
Like-
the people you're interested in is people who would like to be there, but something slips or something is not in mind, and they haven't planned for it.
Mhm.
Those are the kind of people you would want to be. That's why multiple points, people remind people and it puts in front of them and they make up, right? People are not interested, they don't care. As simple as that. We're not
Yeah,
trying to reach
so
that.
our goal, the reason why we're doing this is we're trying to build mechanisms for community engagement and support around district financial decisions. So we're kind of recruiting a base of community members to like feel good about the financial decisions being made for the district. So in that case, I don't think we're trying to address the ones who have the flaming questions because they come to us anyway and we can address their questions one-on-one. So how do we capture more people who are, you know, ignorant but curious?
Yeah, that's, be in front of
Say,
messaging.
maybe one idea to frame it is, because this is a real world outcome, is you as a parent, you like what we're doing and all this enrichment and extracurricular stuff, right? The STEAM and whatnot. There will be difficult decisions to be made where that might have to be cut back, for example, right?
Mhm.
That's related to finances, right? Difficult decisions have to be made.
Yeah.
If I was a parent, yeah, and I was not aware of what's going on, I'd be more interested. Like, oh, no, my son loves STEAM, like that's going to be cut back. Why?
I like the messaging.
Yeah, but
Because
But
that's the real world outcome. Revenues go down, then something has to go, right? So, or revenue has to go up. I mean,
I also like Patty's point in that those who are already super passionate about this topic will reach us anyways. They will follow up the website and, they're proactive. I don't have the bulletproof answer, but how can we, in a low budget format, kind of make sure the entire community gets a message? And maybe it's not the typical channels like superintendent's newsletter or principal's newsletter, but maybe a mailer that kind of a month beforehand in November or so reaches everyone's mailbox, very old school, with sort of that meeting coming up in December. With that messaging that you just mentioned, Doug, saying sort of,
I don't know how everybody feels about it, but I feel like when you frame it as like a finance thing, people are like, but if you frame it like, hey, there's going to be some impact to
Yeah.
programs your child participates.
Yeah,
people are like,
exactly.
What?
not, yeah, and not, I totally agree. And so I would like choose a channel that is unusual, but that reaches everyone who has a mailbox. And then they can still decide if they're coming or not.
Mailers tend to be kind of pricey.
Yeah,
very
but-
expensive.
yeah, they are. I know.
In general, somebody drops off the child every morning.
Yeah.
So,
Flyers.
billboard.
Yeah, that's why that's why I suggested posters and billboards. Yeah.
Our
I think
PTA has open, there's been a couple mornings where they have like a table
Oh,
and then I think they're just welcoming people to school and they had coffee and pastries. And then if you get trapped, then they can give you some flyers.
We've done that helps. When we had to do the LCAP, they got a QR code and they handed out QR codes for the LCAP a few years ago. Before they switched it to individual accounting, it was just a general, and that actually increased our LCAP because it was like it's right there in front of you. You can do it right when you.
Clever.
I think Doug's point. I just want to second that. The topic itself has to be appealing, and finance 101, 98% of people are not going to go. And I think I don't want to belabor it, but I think whatever it is, the messaging has to be about if we want more people, it has to be an enticing conversation. I know in our district, often what happens is a decision is on the verge of being made / has been made, and then people react, and we're trying to proactively support. So if we can do that, because I think back to the gates, right? There was a 3-year process for determining where we were going to put the gates. And it was when it was voted on that Montaloma was going to have a gates that they said, no, we can't have gates at Montaloma. And it now kicked off another 3 years. And it was like a delayed process for the gates. But there was so much outreach to parents and community members about the gates. before we even thought about building it. And it was only at that last board meeting when they were voting on it that parents cared, because it was now in the light, and I don't want that to happen with cuts to things.
Yeah. I mean,
Potential cuts.
when is that decision point? May, I guess, when we approve the 26-27.
That's like the final,
Yeah,
so it'll be March for any personnel decisions. So really kind of final decisions will need to be made around February. So it's leading up to that.
Sorry, things can, I mean, that's like the plan. Things
Sure.
can change.
Change.
Yeah.
All the time.
Noise, yeah.
I love Doug's idea that the messaging, but I have one concern. The messaging will not connect to what we actually do. Right? We're gonna have, like, finance 101 is what we are doing, right?
They have to
I
understand
think it's just
finance to understand
packaging.
the impact, but I think maybe a little to the side though is I don't want panic.
Yeah.
You know, yes, things are shifting, but this is happening everywhere across the state. We are not unique. That this is a natural shifts that happen in businesses and in,
Individuals, right?
right,
Households are going through this too, right?
yes, households too. And that this is just part, if we do nothing, that's when you're gonna have catastrophe. But this is where we need to understand what's happening to be able to respond.
Yeah.
So I think maybe if we, because I agree with Doug, like you gotta talk about how is it gonna impact my kid?
To Rebecca's point, we're still doing finance 101, we're just packaging it
Yes,
in a
so
different.
if the messaging has to be properly worded, I guess that's what it is. Because if you're telling them, hey, things are changing, we would want to know what things are going on or how the money comes. Yeah, I mean, that's, that's a good way to put it. But if the messaging goes, things gonna change, you better get involved, right? Then they wanna come in and say, hey, this is not what I thought I'd be.
all right. I think we have some really good notes here. I can almost see a creative brief coming out. The messaging needs to be enticing without causing panic. You know, we're basically trying to inform the audience so that they can help us make the best decisions for our students.
So on a tactical note, during this first live session, are we planning to run through, have we decided on content and format? Like, I feel like one option is to run through a renamed Finance 101 deck. Is that still the goal? Because I feel like if what we just talked about may change how we present that, right?
Mhm.
Or is that just like an informational thing? Is that meant to be more of a pre-read and we discuss maybe the hot topic during the live session? I guess ultimately that will shape the content of the
You
deck.
could incorporate it in, because you'll have to explain where the revenue comes from in order to understand why it's declining.
Yeah.
So I think it just segues like pretty nicely. You can just insert
Yeah.
almost the whole 101 in
Got
there,
it. Okay, yeah.
and then say, yeah, this is how we get money. Oh, but this is what's happening. Like we have 2.34% actual, AV, right? What does that mean? Some things will change, right? Decisions have to be made.
And the money can only go to certain buckets, so you
Buckets.
may see a cut in this area, but not a cut in this area because that money can't be used for this other thing.
Yes, yeah.
And
That's
like
critical.
parents don't understand that,
Yes,
and like
yes,
even
yeah.
like there was questions about like we applied for a waiver for classroom teachers, and all of the things where we need substitutes, and substitutes actually go against classroom teachers, but everyone's like, we need more subs. And it's true, we do need more subs. However, that goes against classroom teachers' salary and the waiver. So that's sort of
Same budget.
so no. So the reason why we have to apply for the waiver is because we have more subs in the classroom and more and contractors in the classroom. We needed those people because they need to serve the students, but because they're there, we don't have enough classroom teachers who have hired full time. And the parents are like, why don't we use that money? I know we need more subs.
Mm.
And so if we hired more subs, it actually goes against it, not for it. But that was made clear for me because I'm in the education world, but it wasn't clear for all the people who are making the comments. And it just like the district should do better. And it's like, but they're doing the best they can given the situation. And so those are the sort of things that like when you're talking about buckets of money and categories, that sort of thing.
Yeah, limitations.
And there's the other level, of not even finding people, even if you have the money, right? That came up at one of the Crittenden PDA principal levels, principal conversations.
I think your question was a really good one. Is it mostly answered through Doug's comment?
I guess I'll confirm my understanding. So I think the deck will be more comprehensive. I think maybe we'll pick and choose the top 3 or 4 slides or topics. But it seems like it's the content of what we actually deliver on the live meeting will be like the top 3 slides and then segue into, I guess, the hot topics, which it sounds like it's going to be.
It's a good forum to get feedback from the community, because if we are seeing that there is this change, which may be coming,
Yeah.
right? And then the feedback.
Yeah, maybe half Q&A, half prime content.
Yeah.
So we want to answer questions live, beforehand and live.
I think it's better ahead of time, especially if they have specific questions, so we can actually pull the information for you if it's that way. I worry that if we have a long period of time for comments or questions that isn't directed, like to help people understand. And I worry that it would be individuals advocating, I don't want to lose steam. I don't want to, and that's not really the right forum to do it in, right? Because I think we would all start to worry, even like as a parent, if I was at a school meeting, I'd say, wait, I want to make sure X doesn't go, right? But I think we're focusing on the finance aspects as opposed to like the decision, is that
Yeah,
there will be lots of forums for providing input and like what is it that we value most. So this, if I'm understanding, is our role is what you want to present is the background finances.
Yeah.
Like because we can't argue against money's not coming in. People we really like, we can be angry it's not coming in, but there's nothing we can do to change it.
yeah, we're not making any decisions in this public forum.
Right.
We're trying to educate essentially.
Yeah, but she's right. Those questions will come.
I think we just have to predict as much as we can and have kind of our.
Would it be possible to, I mean, I know it's possible because we do that, who show where the buckets of money for things are coming from. And so like people may think STEAM is coming out of this general fund, but it actually may be coming out of specific fund sort of thing, so that they see that like when revenues decrease for like a Title I program, the buckets that are reduced from Title I are these things, not all things. But there's also the sense that like the general fund can be used for anything technically. So like that sort of thing,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think in general, most of our funding is general fund money.
Okay,
So that helps a little bit.
okay.
But I think you're right, there's misconceptions around the CEA about the calculation for the percent of classroom teachers. So it just depends what we want to dive into. If the CEA calculation is big, I mean, it's just division, numerator, denominator, one changes, the other. We can also dive into that if that feels like something that's people really want to understand more.
I think that's finance 102.
Yeah.
Okay. 201.
Rebecca's point though, with regards to answering community questions, I think it sounds like we want to have a deck for the presentation itself or for the open event as well. But we do want to have a forum beforehand to collect questions so that we can, and that means there's some pre-work that needs to happen as well. So it's almost like there's 2 sets of communication that needs to happen. One, announce the actual event, but also beforehand say, submit your questions now. Which I just realized we need to like.
So are we saying we're not gonna take questions at the?
I think we can take them, we won't answer them.
Yes, we cannot, but we, if it's related to what we presented, we'll be, hopefully
Or
we
maybe
will
have
answer them.
questions and then somebody going through them. Because what I would hate to happen is you guys are up there presenting and then somebody asks you something, but you don't have the information. Doesn't like maybe one of you is taking the question saying, oh, we have this answer.
Yeah.
And then you're passing the question on and the others we hold. And then you can answer later, like in writing or something and say, the questions that were not answered, we will get back to you.
Sorry, playing devil's advocate, what's the incentive of joining live?
Are we, actually, I might have missed that in the beginning. Are
Live
we doing
meeting.
it live or hybrid or Zoom or what's the format of the?
I assumed it was live.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I guess is there anything preventing a hybrid? Or
That might help get more people to see it.
Yeah.
You have a Zoom link also.
The benefit of Zoom is that you can like turn it into a webinar and people just type
Yeah.
the questions and you can sort it that way, but that's not really what happens. Life is not as easy to build.
Although I'm not too sure if it will increase drastically on Zoom,
What?
if it will increase too much in Zoom. I know it's.
I think it
sounds
would
better,
increase a
but
lot more
if you look
people,
at-
to be honest with
Yeah.
you. Is this, if it's in the evening, especially people who have families, often, like the board meetings are well attended
Yeah.
virtually, but they are not attended in person.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
because you can say in for that portion and like I can easily log off if like this really isn't into me, my thing. So,
Especially if we have slides in advance, then it's like, well, I could just look at these slides later.
I wonder if it would be helpful to have like a subcommittee, maybe 2 people meet with the PIO to talk about how to set things up and how to kind of moderate a little bit. Because if you have a live meeting and a Zoom meeting, sometimes it's tricky to manage both.
Yes.
And kind of how do you, she might have tips on how maybe we put a couple people in charge of it, of how we run it.
Yeah, I think we might have a broader AI that this fits into. I don't know if we just volunteer Mark. But just like the whole logistics of the event. Is it live? Is it hybrid? How are we going to handle the marketing? The content? Are we going to have a live Q&A session? Like a lot of those details.
it would have been nice if Mark was here. I answer a lot of these questions.
That's true, Mark. What about you? See,
Mark, yeah.
you can do it.
Yes.
Maybe he purposely, no, I'm just kidding.
We can sign him and say, this is what we decided.
Exactly. AI.
It's his thing, right?
Well,
He's-
I think these are really good discussions that will help him
Yes,
kind of.
yes,
it-
yeah.
So it's like, okay, here's the discussion. Go and help us make some decisions, and then and we'll recommend speaking with the PIO also on to get some support on the format of the meeting.
I'm happy to help out with that.
Great. So that kind of what I'd like to do, hold on, I need to look at the agenda. I think we're up on time as well. But I feel like we've really had a lot of great discussion. So the last piece is I wanted to have a project plan on like, hey, when do we think we'll have a draft of all the slides for the Finance 101? When do we think we'll have a draft of the presentation slides, the topic, special topic 1 slides? And then when will we review each of these things? So because we're out of time, I think, Rebecca, I think I'll work with you directly on how we pace out the timing of that. And then
The deck.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then can I also get a lead on the presentation deck, the special topic number 1 deck?
Sorry, and the special topic is the reserves, or is it the school? Why is this my schools? Where does the school site funding?
Revenue is declining.
So when you say deck on that, what?
It's basically the content, the slides that we'll present during the public forum.
Oh, but we're presenting on the special topic slides
Yes.
or special, like one slide on special topic.
On special topic 1, which is where do our school dollars come from and why are they shrinking? Yeah. And it should be really easy if they have the Finance 101 deck. So does that make sense? So we'll take 3 or 4, top hits from 3 to 5 slides from Finance 101 and add it to the special topics deck.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Is there a specific pot of money that the school site? I guess when we say school site, this is like the discretionary funds that the school specifically uses, or what are we talking about when we say?
Thinking about the entire school district.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, so this, yeah.
I can help support. I think that may seem daunting, but I can help provide like, this is where revenue comes from. This is where,
I mean, I feel like that's
like building up.
yeah, sorry, I thought the school
Bigger.
site funding was specific to school sites, not the district in general.
What if Rebecca and I can work together, and when Rebecca is finished with hers, we can add 5 more slides specifically to dive into revenue and like assessed value and
Okay, I mean, I would think we already have a couple of slides.
yeah, and maybe we just add a few more.
Yeah.
I think that would
Is that what the special topic we decided?
Yes. Yes, okay. Yeah, it's not a big, it's not a big ask. I just want to have somebody assigned to it. Otherwise we all
That's true.
do things by committee, literally. Okay, good. The last thing, sorry, I know we're over, but last one was agree on the revision to the BAC mission statement. Vern had suggested some language. And if we're okay with it, then I think we should just approve it and
Yeah.
update our mission statement.
Yes.
There were 3 different ones, so I wasn't sure.
Oh.
Yeah, I did 3 because essentially it felt like the original said that people were something with, we were actually affecting the budget, and it really wasn't about the budget. It was about the processes that we do. And so I just made the language broad enough, but including that. And there were 3 different versions that I came up with. I don't have them in front of me, but someone does. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
I didn't get, that's one clarification. Other one which I was looking for is it be taking community feedback and then giving suggestions. So that's
Engage with the broader communities in there.
Yeah.
So should we just take this vote
that's part.
to email? Yeah.
Yeah,
You wanna
Yeah.
read it out loud?
Oh.
So just everyone has it.
let's take this offline and just do a vote. Yeah. Okay,
fine with me.
okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.